I was on mute there, my apologies, now I'm not. So it's very, very important to understand who we are at any given point in time. So, fear and understanding fear contributes to that. That understanding, that intricate understanding of self. One of my biggest fears is not giving to the world what I want to give to the world. So you could call it a fear of scarcity. Not living long enough, not doing enough, not being enough. But that fear fuels me, and I understand where the fear comes from. I understand its origin or its multiple origin points, and I use it for fuel, I use it for feedback, I use it for insight into self. Sometimes it gets the better of me. Sometimes it puts me in a despondent state of being. Sometimes I feel disconnected. Sometimes my mind feels murky and cloudy about it. But I sit with that. And as I grow, I learn to sit with that. I learn to absorb that. We are human. We experience life in so many different ways, so many different postures. Fear is one of those. I ask you today to answer some of these questions, and I want to put them up here. Now, I said I'd challenge you, and I said I'd push you a little bit. But you only do what you want to do. Because you only get out of life. If I force you, if someone forces you to do something but you're not authentically connected to it, you won't get a great benefit from it. In saying that, if you can just be pushed enough to do something, then experiencing directly that state can elicit growth and sparks in here and in here. So I do want to challenge you, but I'm not going to force you. I'm going to push you, and I'm not going to force you. I shared a fear of mine. How about some of you share some of your fears with me? And with yourself, yes. Microphone. And what I want to do with this, people, you want to spend maybe 10, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes here. I want you to get to the core of the fear in as little words as possible, because I want the essence of it. I want the truth of it. I want the substance of it, yeah?
Yeah, I've had this for a long time actually, which is a fear of not being the person that I could be or can be. So in other words, being on my deathbed and going, why didn't I? Why didn't I? Why didn't I? Yes, living with regret. That is my biggest, terrifying fear. And mostly because I've had maybe 3 occasions in my life where one died and 2 nearly lost my life, a couple of times.
Interesting.
And every time that has happened, it's happened to me 3 times in my life. That moment.
How did you nearly lose your life, if you don't mind me asking?
I died when I gave birth. I was resuscitated, and I had a journey.
To your child?
Yes, I've got a son, yeah.
Son?
It's a son, yeah.
He survived?
He survived, yeah. Well, I actually was pregnant. I was having twins, and I lost the first one at 3 months. But they thought I wasn't pregnant. But miracle happened, and I continued to be pregnant with Dan, and they didn't know I was pregnant with Dan until 4 months, 3-4 months. It was just incredible, really.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway, I had to lie on my back for 8 months of the pregnancy.
Wow.
I wasn't allowed to move, really, because I kept hemorrhaging. So that was quite a difficult experience, but at the end of it, it was almost like I wasn't supposed to have him, because I died, in the process of giving birth to him.
Can I ask you a personal question? What's your relationship like with your son?
Very close.
Very close. Mm. Good. Talk about that later. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. Anybody else? Look, I'm going to be a little bit passive here, and passive aggressive. I say anybody else, but I expect, and expectations are so dangerous, but I expect everybody to speak up a little bit here, yeah?
Okay. Yeah, a super volunteer on everything you ask, okay. Mine is like a little bit of, I have a fear of being taken advantage of, a fear of being used by other people. And I know there are people, you know, not intentionally to hurt people or, you know, taken advantage of, but I see lots of being, you know, taken over by greed or some other things, not giving back or not sharing. Yeah.
Sure, being used. Thank you. Yeah. Manu, would you like to share?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a fear that what will happen to my family if I'll die. I mean, in terms of financial freedom, you know, I want to create something. I mean, that's my fear. You know, financially we should be free. What if? Family security, right?
Abundance. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I wasn't sure at all. But just sitting here now, thinking about it, I came up with a whole little list. I'll just tell you the list first, because I think the last thing is probably more, is closer to the bigger fear. So I just started writing down, a fear of I'm not kind of worthy enough or good enough, you know, that kind of stuff really in terms of what I want to be doing in the world. Somewhere in there might be a fear of failure somewhere, you know, that's bubbling up. And then I started to move into this fear of not finding my purpose, really. You know, and this fear that maybe I'll come to the end of my life without having found that purpose, that bigger purpose, and maybe not having the courage to really, really, really go and look for that purpose.
Thank you for sharing.
So I've got three, and I think the first one, to sum it up, is using the words of a great man, but I've forgotten his name, Wayne Dyer, is dying with the music still within me.
Say that again.
Dying with the music still within me, not feeling, a little bit like Jan's first one, not having given all that I could give.
Yeah, what else?
So my next one is putting myself out there, and nobody wants to buy what I have to give. Or put another way, I've not deserving my place at the table.
Fear of rejection.
Okay. And my last one is stopping working and the money drying up and having an unfulfilling golden years, or sort of brass years, really.
I'm torn a little bit there. Let me just sit on that for a moment. How about you articulate it for me instead? Keep going deeper into that. What's that a fear of?
I guess it's a fear. Is it a fear of missing out? I've just seen so many old people who have given everything in their life and have not, and then when they should be enjoying their golden years, they're struggling all the time, and you know they're worried about every penny that they spend. So
Fear of poverty and struggle?
yes,
That resonate?
yes. Fear of struggle more than the poverty.
Struggle. So this is interesting, people. Let me tell you something as well. You've all named 1 to 3 fears here. I promise you, you have a lot more. You have a lot more fears. And there's nothing intrinsically wrong or right about that. What holds you back, what holds us back, is our inability to connect to those fears, to acknowledge those fears, to understand their place, to understand how they can fuel us, to learn from those fears, and then not take action. That holds us back. When we speak to what holds us back in life, our fears hold us back. And then we get to the crux of our fears. A powerful exercise for you to do, and we're going to look into this deeply when we go into our belief systems and our limiting belief systems in our next session, and we'll break all that down and spend substantial time in those areas, is looking at observing closely how your fears serve you. And how do you identify fear? There's a number of ways. But if you think about what ails you, if you think about where you struggle in life, if you can think about that, and then connect that thought to a feeling state, how do you feel about that? For example, and I'm going to get very raw here, I hope that's okay. But if you envisioned yourself now dying right now, right here, and your family didn't have enough according to you, how would you feel? Does your heart sink into your stomach? Do you feel scared, sad, confused, disorientated? That's an indication that that's a very real fear. Now, just because, let's just say Manu has, let's say you achieve a number in your head that is financially abundant, whatever it may be, right? Doesn't matter. And he knows that if he dies today, his family will be secure, safe, financially, familiarly, everything. That doesn't mean that fear is going to go away. It doesn't mean that he hasn't maybe got a fear of loss there, but it will subside. It will relax a lot more. There'll be a confidence that comes with it. The edge will be taken off it. Because he has done everything that he can in his power, physically, to do or support his family in the way that he wants to. But more importantly, what changes the fear isn't only the action, but it's the internal state of mind. And that's what requires the work. That's the challenging part. That's the practice. Because what if you died today, but you hadn't quite set up your family how you'd like to? You can still alleviate that through approach, mindset, perspective. That goes a lot deeper, and we'll talk about that a little bit next week. A little bit, because it's a very deep subject matter. But understand that we can we can create transformation through perspective, inner perspective, and we can create transformation through action. It's almost like looking at it this way. I'll take you as an example because you're in this industry, so to speak. Mass collective change, I'm of the belief, cannot occur from a top... Everybody understand top-down approach in politics? Yeah. Using politics as an example. And it can't occur from a grassroots movement either. It has to occur both simultaneously. You need a top-down systemic approach to transformation, to collective transformation, whilst there's an uprising from a grassroots level as well. As so, inner transformation and outward transformation takes place in our lives. We need an internal perspective that is in alignment with who we wish to be, whilst taking external action, making it happen. Not sitting on the couch saying, okay, I'm ready for abundance now, come to me. Why isn't money falling from my ceiling? Why don't I feel abundant and open? Now that's just one part of it. That perspective, being open to a particular state is part of that transformation. But taking action is also required. Yeah? Keep that in mind when we're moving through what we're doing today. And asking yourselves questions about what serves you remaining in the space of this. You're all scared of it. You don't want to be there, although you're here. But you don't want to be here, yet you focus on that and you won't move out of it. Something's blocking you. And our belief systems will look at that, will expand upon that, but it's just the beginning. The deep work always takes place. Did you want to say something? Oh, okay, yeah, the flies. We know about the flies here. They're everywhere. They're worse in Australia. That dry heat. They love the dry heat. What serves you being here? Because something's serving you, I promise you. Something is serving you being there. It feeds a part of you that requires you to stay there because it reinforces a certain point within you. See, the ego is a very interesting tool the human being has access to. See, the ego comes from a place of self-preservation. Now, the ego, bear with me here. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to really simplify the ego. The ego is not bad. I'm not talking about the ego from a vanity perspective. In fact, we need that anyway because it allows us to understand ourselves in relation to the world. Okay? But the ego loves familiarity. Now, as we grow from the ages of 0 to 8 or 10, in our formative years, when we're walking around in that alpha state of consciousness, we're very highly hypnotic, and we absorb our environment. We mainly learn and grow from our primary caregivers, whether that be our biological parents, our biological grandparents, non-biological caregivers, that's irrelevant. But we learn from the prominent figures in our lives. How they behave, how they act, what they do, how they respond to us, how they reinforce certain behaviours within us. And we adapt these behavioural traits, these characteristics, this understanding of the world, our models of reality, and we build upon them. And we reinforce them through the ego and through action, through repetition. Because the ego was exposed to that when we were young, and it takes that for, well, that's all there is, because it's familiar. Now, familiarity breeds comfort. Comfort breeds safety. Safety is directly linked to self-preservation. Now, if the prime function of the ego is self-preservation, or one of the prime functions, that's interesting, isn't it? Now, that doesn't mean we can't change, transmute, transform, evolve, grow, expand our current models of reality or our paradigms of thought or our belief systems. But it means we require a very astute understanding of self or exploration of self to understand self. That needs to take place. So when I say to you, what serves you remaining here? Something is serving you being here. Let me tell you something else. Everybody here in an intimate relationship, intimate being partner, yeah? Husband, wife, etc., partner? Not at the moment? It's cool. You have been in your past though? Cool. That's all. That's enough. We seek in our intimate partnerships what our parents consciously and unconsciously gave us and did not give us. Sorry, not parents, primary caregivers. It's a more suitable term. And we seek that in our intimate partnerships. Dr. Harville Hendricks, Keeping the Love You Find, is one of his books. Very interesting book. And he speaks to that exactly, that all our relationships in our life, but especially our intimate relationships, because they're so deep and they go deep and they go broad. And we're most vulnerable in our intimate relationships. We learn so much, but we're attempting to fulfill what we did not get, consciously and unconsciously, from our primary caregivers. That's why you find sometimes when there's a lot of friction in your relationships, where is this coming from? Why is this here? Go back to your childhood. Go back to the dynamic that you had with your primary caregivers. And in my opinion, this is not the be-all and end-all, but it's substantial in understanding self. Seminal work that he's done, very interesting. I like this image because it's a dark, I don't know if you can see it properly, but it's a dark cave and there's this, it's just fucking great. And this is a growth mindset, breaking free of the darkness and the rigidity of the solid structure of the rigid, fixed mindset. Good, I was hoping that would be quite clear. It's clear enough. This is the basis and the understanding of a growth and a rigid mindset. I'm going to talk through it with you. We're going to talk together through it. You're going to observe as well. So, fixed mindset, intelligence is fixed. It's static. It cannot be changed. It's like that old psychological paradigms of belief say personality is fixed. Personality can be altered per se, but it generally entrenches itself pretty deeply in the human person. You have to do a lot of work, in other words, pay a lot of attention to self through process and understand self deeply to start to shift certain behavioural patterns of self and traits. This is a growth mindset where intelligence can be developed. In other words, it's malleable. It's not rigid and fixed. The person with a growth mindset believes that A, they are malleable, they can adapt, they can overcome at any period of time in life, and they believe they can learn and grow, and that nothing is beyond them. Nothing is too difficult. So when we look at success of others, I'm going to read this from my computer here because it's just a little bit clearer, people. One moment. Actually, no, I'll keep it there. It's fine. When we're talking about success, in a rigid mindset or a fixed mindset, there's a great deal of fear. We become fearful when we observe others succeeding because we're coming from a scarcity mentality. Whereas a growth mindset is inspired by the success of others. You inspire me with your business. You don't threaten me. Even if I was in real estate and I was in India, in the same province that you were. Because I know what my mindset's like, my mentality is. I get inspired. Well, he's innovating. I want to innovate now. If I innovate, then he'll innovate. That's not competition. That's collaboration. Yeah? From that vantage point. But when you're threatened by others, or you look at others and go, oh, they're better than me, they've been doing this for years, they look confident, they've got money, or they've got really great programs, their coaching programs are better than mine, why do I even bother, I'm not as good as that. You're coming from a place of constriction and a place of restriction. And what are you going to do from that place? Nothing. You will not take meaningful action in and on your life. And I promise you that. Because you're coming from a place of fear. When we experience criticism, because criticism is it's a normal part of life. I'll tell you something. The more critics you have of yourself, people that criticize you, ask them to keep criticizing. Tell them to bring all their friends as well to criticize you. Because life works in balance, homeostasis and equilibrium. Always. Culturally, socially, biophysically, it's irrelevant. Physiologically, always. Where there are 10 critics, there are 10 supporters. Where's your focus? Shift your focus. Place your focus on those who support you, but also balance that view with those who critique you. Because you'll learn something from that. Don't take it to heart. They just don't understand. Or maybe they do understand and they've found a flaw in your system or in your approach that you can then refine because you've absorbed and acknowledged their criticism. Don't take it to heart. That's irrelevant. That shouldn't deter you from your mission. That should enhance your mission. It's feedback. Be grateful that they're actually critiquing you because they're giving you an opportunity to grow, to innovate. The greatest companies in the world fail forward, fail fast, and fail frequently. Facebook, Google, Uber, SpaceX, Tesla, Abundance 360. They have Google allocate billions of. Bear with me here for a moment. Google allocate billions of dollars to a research department that they want to fail multiple times a year, hundreds of times. The more they can fail, the better, because they grow, they rapidly innovate, fast, frequently, and they fail forward. So they keep picking themselves up and keep moving. Do you think if Google listened to all the critics that said, no, you can't do that, you can't go into autonomous vehicles, you can't do that, you're a search engine. You can't go to providing internet for the 3.5 billion people that don't have access to the internet and more. You can't go into that race. You can't invest in artificial intelligence, in machine learning, in quantum computing. You're a search engine. Think about that. Being critiqued is powerful. See, the rigid mindset ignores useful feedback. Forget about whether it's negative or positive. Well, it's negative because it's still constructive. I don't even know why that term's negative. I disagree. I don't think it's negative. It's just feedback. It's neutral. Whereas the growth mindset learns, grows, says, give me more. Give me more of your feedback. Negative, positive, I don't care. Give me more. I want more. Because I can learn from it. Effort. Sees effort, the rigid mindset, the fixed mindset, sees and observes effort as an arduous task, as something that is challenging, is difficult, is that posturing, that physical posturing. Whereas the growth mindset views challenge as a path to mastery, but they also view flow as a path to mastery as well. It's not just challenge. The growth mindset says yes to challenge, yes to difficulty. So you all have said yes to that. That's why you're here. Because if you weren't here, you're here to fill a void. You're here to fill a space, a lack of understanding, something. That's why you're here. You've said yes to challenge because you've been challenged. You've resonated with iLabs, or you've resonated with Wealth Dynamics and their vision, and you've identified there's a challenge in your life, and you've said, yes, I'm going to take a risk, and I'm going to hopefully learn something, and I'm going to grow, and I'm going to view this as an opportunity to master myself. Am I correct in saying that? Tell me if I'm not, please. Yeah. I have been known to be wrong sometimes. Just sometimes though, very rarely. I'm wrong too often, but not often enough. Obstacles, same thing. That fixed mindset gives up very easily. I'll share a personal story with you. I grew up with a fixed mindset, and I still have elements of a fixed mindset. And I'll explain, this is really fun, this is interesting. I'm a star profile, and I'm supported by creator and supporter. I'm in between Blaze and Dynamo. When I start getting into the details of things, I start getting into overwhelm. Ugh, don't like it. Don't like the details. I start giving up because I was conditioned like that. That's how I grew up. Give up, easy, no worries, walk away, do something else. Rather than finding value and excitement in solving a maths problem. But I'm very aware of that, so I give up far less now. And if I give up, the onset of that is far later than immediately. I'm a big picture person. I'm the vision. I'm not interested in the details. Someone else can make that happen. But I've had to get really good at doing that as well because I'm in the yellow. So I'm a player. I'm here. And that's fitting. That makes sense for me because I run my own business. But I was telling Mel, I'm very happy I've got no problem with distributing power. I just have to figure out the how. But the how's in the details. And that's very strong of the mechanic, of the Lord. And that's, I'll get there. But we have to know, these are tools to know who you are. There's many tools. I have many tools that I use in my programs as well. And they're fantastic. This is a fantastic tool for understanding yourself. Use it. Know who you are. Know your strengths. Know your weaknesses. Make your weaknesses not your weaknesses. But if you know you give up early, if you know that you have elements of a rigid, fixed mindset, you acknowledge it. Take ownership of it. It's all good. But if you don't, if you say, no, it's not me, because you don't think that that's acceptable by society, by your own personal standards, then you'll constantly still have that fixed mindset. You just won't be aware of it. It's going to still come up through your unconscious self. It's still going to come out through your actions. A fixed mindset avoids challenges, whereas a growth mindset embraces challenges. And that's a very stoic view of the world. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy developed in Greece, made very famous by Marcus Aurelius, who was one of the emperors of Rome. And Stoicism, part of Stoicism is to embrace challenge, to view. So these ideas have been around for thousands of years. This whole program is based on the I Ching, based on ancient Eastern mysticism, which I'm a very big fan of, by the way. Eastern mysticism and Western mysticism. So this, in fact, the physicality of this facility is set up in that way. There's a reason for that. There's reasons for that ancient wisdom. It's okay to have a fixed mindset. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. In fact, if you can acknowledge that you do, you have then the power. You are empowered to make that change. But if you ignore it, you're going to constantly come from that place. Correct. It becomes conscious. You can own it. Yeah, that's right. Otherwise, how do you know it exists if you don't want to assume responsibility for it? See, one of the greatest failings of our society, and there are many successes of our society as well. Everything happens in equilibrium. One of the greatest failings of our society is to ignore failure, is to ignore that dark side of self, is to ignore and suppress the shadow self. So you don't hear about Oprah Winfrey being told at the age of 28, 29 that she's no good for television, go back to radio. You don't, until 20, 30 years later, but at the time you don't hear about it. You don't hear about J.K. Rowling and those books that she wrote. Does everybody know what those books are? Yeah, Harry Potter. You don't hear about her being very sick, homeless, father dying, being rejected by multiple publishers. Now she's a billionaire. You don't hear about that until later. We don't embrace failure enough in our society. We don't embrace... I'm going on a slight tangent, but it's very relevant, but I'm not going to stay on this tangent for long. I have a tendency to go on tangents. I just thought I'd let you know. It's okay? Good. We don't hear about that until later. We need to acknowledge failure, and we need to acknowledge that it's okay to give up. It's okay to be someone that is not ideal in society. And if you want to transmute and transform that, then you will. And you should, if you want to. So now we're going to get into some fun. I think it's been fun already, I hope it has, but we're going to move into tools now. Look, I really like this depiction of Atlas. Yeah, it's really cool. Holding the whole universe on his or her shoulders. Tools for moving into understanding mindset. So I want everybody to have a pad and a pen with them, please. I might have to read it out for you, or maybe not. Maybe you can read yourself there. I think you can. If you can't, I'll read it out for you. That's no problem. So part one. So we're going to take a few minutes to answer these, okay? We're going to determine what type of mindset you have. This is the first tool that we're going to engage in. So part one. Don't worry about part two just yet. Part one is all about 1 to 6. Don't worry about writing the questions down. You just have to write the numbers down for now. That's all, okay? Just the numbers. And one is disagree big time, and number 6 is agree big time, and everything else in between. So 2 is disagree. If you want, you can put 1 disagree hugely, 2 disagree, 3 kind of disagree, 4 kind of agree, 5 agree, 6 agree tremendously. And we've just got 4 questions for part 1. So the first question, and just answer this as you feel is true for you. And be very honest. Like anything in life, the more we get out of it, the more honest we are, the more we are able to understand. You can always change your talent a good amount, no matter how much you have. Would you disagree hugely, number 1, or agree hugely, number 6, and everything in between? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Repeat that question. You can always change your talent a good amount, no matter how much you have. Number 2, I like work the best when it makes me think hard. Would you strongly disagree with that statement, or would you very much agree with that statement, or somewhere in between, 1 to 6? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I want you to score them now. Yeah. Let's go to the start. We'll go back to the start again. No problem. We've got plenty of time. Time is a mental construct. You can always change your talent a good amount no matter how much you have. Number 1 is strongly disagree. Number 6 is strongly agree. And then 2, 3, 4, and 5 is in between. So 3 is kind of disagree. 4 is kind of agree. 5 is agree. 2 is just a plain disagree. That's the first question. The second question, I like work the best when it makes me think hard. So you enjoy work, your work, what you do, your vocation, when it really makes you think, when it really forces you to think in detailed form about what you're doing. 1 to 6, which number? Question number 3. I like doing things that I'll learn from even if I make a lot of errors. I enjoy doing things that I learn from even if I make many errors. You disagree with that statement or you agree with that statement? 1, being disagree strongly. 6, being agree strongly. Shouldn't be taking you too long. It should take you 2 seconds to do, guys. Just go by feeling. Don't overthink it. Feel it. Feel into it. Say the number in your head, then feel what the body says. Question number 4, last question for part 1. When something is hard, it makes me want to spend more time on it, not less. When something is difficult or challenging, it makes me want to spend more time on it, not less. Number 1, disagree. Number 6, agree. Don't overthink it. Feel it. Don't think what the answer should be. Just feel it. Be honest with yourself. Tally up your numbers there, please. Part number 2, it's reversed. So part number 2, number 1 is strongly disagree. Number 6 is, number 1 is strongly agree. Number 6 is strongly disagree for part 2. Okay, so the numbers are reversed. Please keep that in mind. Now, question number 5, you can always learn things, but you can't really change how smart you are. You can always learn things, but you can't really change your level of allocated intelligence. Do you strongly agree with that? Or do you strongly disagree with that? Or do you kind of agree with that, number 3? Or do you kind of disagree with that, number 4? Remember, the numbers are reversed here for part 2, okay? Question number 6. I like work the best when I can do well without putting a lot of effort in. I enjoy work the best when I can do very well without putting a great deal of effort in. Do you strongly agree with that statement, number 1? Or do you disagree with that statement, number 6? Strongly disagree. And then in between. Question number 7. I like doing work that I can do perfectly almost all of the time. In other words, I like being perfect at my work. I'm a perfectionist. Would you agree with that statement? Number 1, strongly agree with that statement being number 1, or disagree with that statement? Strongly disagree with that statement being number 6. Number 8, last question. When I have to put extra work in, it makes me feel like I'm not as good as my peers. When I have to put extra work into what I do, it makes me feel like I'm not as good or as competent or as smart as my peers. Do you agree strongly with that statement, number 1? Or do you disagree with that statement, number 6? Strongly disagree with that statement. Now, I want you to add up your total from number 1 and add up your total from number 2, please. We all done that? Excellent. What's your number? 37, wonderful. What's your total number? 19, 17. Did you say 19 and 17? Yes. 38. Yeah, and yours? 42. 41. Okay, wonderful. What this means. 8 to 16, you firmly believe that your talents, skills and abilities are set traits. These things can't be changed very much. If you can't perform really well and look good on a test or project, you would rather just not do it. You think that smart and talented people don't have to work very hard to be good. If you score between 17 to 24, You think that your skills and intelligence probably don't change much. You like situations where you perform well, are less likely to make mistakes, and don't have to put in too much effort. You believe that learning and getting better at things should be relatively easy. 25 to 32, you're not too sure whether or not you can change your skills and intelligence. Your grades and performance are important to you, and so is learning. You're not the biggest fan of putting in too much effort though. 33 to 40, you believe that you can develop your skills and intelligence, you really care about learning and don't mind having to put in some effort to make it happen. Performing well matters to you, but you think that learning is actually more important than always scoring well and looking good. Success is defined by the process primarily, not the outcome. And lastly, 41 to 40, you totally believe that you can grow and improve your skills and intelligence. You love challenges and know that the best way to learn is by working really hard. You don't mind making mistakes or looking bad in order to get better. Scores again, please. Yours? 37. 36. 42. 31. 41. Nice. Great. So all of you are in the upper echelon here. So all of you are leaning far more towards a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. Yes? No.
Can you have been in a growth mindset for many years and then for a couple of years just become quite fixed?
Yes. So our experiences and our environment and the situations that we are exposed to, if on a consistent basis, a repetitive basis, can shape and change our outlook, transmute our outlook on life, even our belief systems. Again, that's the malleability of the human person. Yeah? So that can happen. You can be tainted by certain experiences. Most definitely. And you do. Your environment shapes who you are. There are many contributing factors in our reality that shape who we are, including our perspective of self, our understanding of self, our connection to self, including the peer groups that we mix with, including the physical environment that we surround ourselves with. If you were born in Somalia, and you're surrounded by poverty, I've been to Somalia. The majority of people live in roofless, 1/8 built huts. And they struggle. And the only way to bring some form of sustenance or wealth or something into their lives is, well, it's not the only way, but through piracy. It's a great deal. I've worked with many elite soldiers that have, Australian soldiers that have fought that battlefront. And this isn't a question of war, or I disagree with war, if anyone's interested in my personal disposition of war, although I've worked so closely with elite soldiers. But when you come from poverty, and you come from that extreme, that scarcity, what do you think your thoughts about life are going to be? You think you're going to have an opportunity? See, everybody familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Yeah, everybody familiar with that? Very simple. It's a very simple understanding of the world. Basically, if our physical needs can't be met, we can't contemplate higher order goods or higher order things. We can't be sitting here having this conversation about self, about integrity, about fear, about clarity, about building business, about being of service. All you're worried about is, do I have access to some water that's not going to make me vomit or have diarrhea? Do I have access to some form of food, shelter? Can I be in a non-violent community where family members aren't being raped and tortured, where AIDS isn't spreading wildly? You see, this is a reality. We have to take ownership. As a collective society, we need to take ownership of this reality. This is what's happening in the world. But there are many beautiful things happening in the world as well. This dynamic right here, we're sharing. Because we're privileged. We have an opportunity to spread our wisdom, to give to others what inspires us. I call that a duty. I call that an obligation. They're strong words. You. If you have access to resources, the basics, and then you have access to resources such as this, we have an obligation to ourselves, to humanity, to be of service. Because we've moved past those bottom rungs where we don't have to be too concerned about where we're going to get our next clean meal from. Or we can just turn, we take for granted the fact that we can turn, we can't so much here in Bali. For Westerners or for people that aren't acclimatized to Bali, you can't just turn on a tap and drink water because we get sick. Because there are a number of reasons why. We don't have the bacteria in our guts that haven't developed yet. To say that though, the piping in Perth, where I'm from, it's short term it's healthy, but long term it's full of chemicals. Fluoride, the pipes are rusty, anyway. But we take for granted that we can just turn a tap on. 3.5 billion people live in poverty. The definition of poverty is less than $2 a day, less than $2.50 a day. Most of them are less than $1 a day, $1.50 a day. That's it. Tell me how you'd go living on $2.50 a day. We have an obligation and duty to look at ourselves. And we're not wrong for having a fixed mindset. We're not wrong. We're not, oh damn, we're not good enough. Or we should be better, we should know better. We're human beings as well. Sometimes I think emotional disharmony and pain is worse than physical. I've experienced physical, not to the extent that many other people in our society have. Sometimes that emotional disharmony, it's challenging work. I honour all of you for doing the work here today, for looking at yourselves, for realising that, you know, yeah, I'm a worker, I'm a survivor, I'm a victim. Because they're hard realities to face and they hurt. But hurt is good. Hurt is healthy. It really is, because it's insightful. But you have to allow it to be insightful. I'm going to give you another tool, one of the tools that I use in my programs and when I deal with people. It's called the 3P model. Practice. Practice who you are. Practice what you love. Practice being vulnerable. Practice being great. Practice crying. Practice being fearful. Practice being anything and everything you need to be. But practice. Because practice provides us with progress. That's exactly what it does. It gives us progress. If you're interested in sitting on the couch and watching 10 hours of TV a day, then do that. And practice it. And you'll become very proficient at it. And you'll progress in that area. If you want to build a multinational enterprise, where do you come from in India? Near New Delhi. Oh, yeah, I was in Rishikesh, yeah, a couple of years ago. Yeah, yes. I was there for a month in India. I was in the Rajasthan region, northern India mainly, yeah. Beautiful part of the world. But if you want to be the best realtor in Rishikesh, then practice doing that. Best is how you define it, subjective term, because it may not be defined by how many sales you have or how much money you bring in. It could be something else. It could be how many homeless people you house. I don't know. But it's different, yeah? Define that subjectively yourself. 3 P's. Practice is number 1. Patience. Patience gives us focus. We require the patience to endure the challenge and the difficulty. And that's part of having a growth mindset, is being very patient. See, when we can speak to the qualities of a particular state that we're attracted to, that we resonate with, we can then begin to live those qualities. Now, how inspiring and empowering is that? Because you don't know what you don't know. But if you know that, A, having a growth mindset is something that most of you are already there. You live that growth mindset in here, but you're acting it. That's important as well. But when you then can say, okay, this is a growth mindset, this is the type of mindset I want to have in life to move forward, propel myself. And you know that patience, being patient, being calm, detaching from a situation, not being so reactive or emotional, having the patience to endure the difficulty is a natural part of that growth mindset. You relax a lot more. You see, the simple things in life, the simple tools and exercises in life are what actually give us power. You see, here it is. The elite in life is something that I've learned from my experiences with working with top-level minds across various industries. The elite are the elite because of one reason. They've mastered the basics. That's it. It's seriously as simple as that. They've mastered the basics. That's it. I'm going to give you an example. I often do this. Oh, I should be able to leave that. That's fine. Don't laugh at me too much. What is a baby? See, yeah, some of you have maybe heard that saying, you can't run before you walk. See, the foundations that we lay, the basics that we lay in life, whether they be cognitively, emotionally, physiologically, or spiritually, which are, by the way, the 4 areas or the 4 bodies of the human sphere: psychology, or the mind, cognition, emotionality, spirituality, physicality. Now, you take a baby. The baby doesn't learn to crawl before it walks. It learns to do this. It learns to do this. Then it learns to roll. Then it learns to do this. Then it learns to do this. And then it learns to do this. But everything happens in stages. Then it gets here. And it loses its balance and it comes back down. And it's learning. But it's adapting through stages. But it can't move on and progress to the next stage without having moved through the stage before. We think patience, oh, it's simple, that's easy. But do you know how many of us don't have patience? We don't have patience, nor do we have persistence to weather the difficulty in life. Because the difficulty that stops us, it's fucking easy to be happy, it's easy to be joyful, but it's easy to sit on the beach and watch the sunset with a coconut in your hand. That's easy. It's difficult to be caught in the crossfire. It's difficult to die giving birth. It's difficult to be pregnant and your husband loses his job and all these things happen to you that are very confronting. That's challenging. But persistence gives us results because it gives us endurance, because it provides us with resilience. The 3P model. And I elaborate on this extensively, I always do. It's a powerful model. It's simple though. Practice, patience, persistence. That's it. There's nothing really magical to it. But practice and practicing patience and practicing persistence requires effort, intention, diligence, time, resilience, yearning, connected to something that inspires you. Connect this practice, the 3P practice, to your life where you can observe acutely the power of doing so. And when you do, when you can be inspired by this practice or any practice that resonates with you, you'll be more likely to engage in it fully and throw yourself into it. Because I promise you, if you're drowning, you'll do everything you can, unless of course you want to drown, but if you don't want to drown, you do everything you can to not drown. In other words, you're 100% present, you're 100% fully immersed in what you're doing. That example applies to any example, whether it be your coaching services, whether it be being a service to your community, whether it be, it's irrelevant. It's only relevant to you. That's what's most important, right here, right now. Now, this is a concept that I've developed, and it sounds like an oxymoron, because how can you be selfish and selfless at the same time? But let me elaborate a little bit. This is more a philosophical disposition. It's more a posturing, and it's a posturing for growth. So in other words, it's a standpoint that you take in life, in how you approach life, in everything that you do, in how you treat yourself and how you treat others. But let me explain something to you, that this posturing, selfish selflessness, it's an integral part of my sovereign leadership model. Excuse me. and is the foundation for governing self in a very articulate, particular way. And once you assume, if you choose to assume this posture, life begins to change because it's a disposition, yeah? It's a mindset as well. It's part of having a growth mindset. Not traditionally, but it's intimately linked to that. Now here it is. If you are not, every single person, and this is another trait that is often shunned by society, we spoke about earlier, selfishness. Every single person in this room is here for themselves. You're either ignorant if you don't think that, or you're lying to yourself. It's one of those two. Simple as that. I'm here because it serves me to be here for various reasons. But that doesn't mean that I'm not also here for you. Now, I didn't know you personally before I came. I'd seen some profile photos and some background and so forth, but didn't know too much. But I'm here for me. But I'm also here for you. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. See, here's what selfish selflessness is about. Selfish selflessness is about choosing to evolve and expand your own path, to raise your vibratory essence, to expand your consciousness, your awareness of self, to improve your skills, to improve and expand your knowledge base, to achieve your goals. You focus on that. You focus on yourself. You focus on evolving and expanding yourself in every area of life. So the other 5 areas of life are relationships. Actually, I'll leave that because we're going to speak to that in a moment. I'll come back to that. It will come up after. You must be selfish in order to survive. Self-preservation. If you didn't care about yourself, you'd jump off a building, you'd walk into a dangerous environment, you'd walk into a pit of snakes or a pit of crocodiles or whatever it is. You wouldn't care about you. You have to be selfish. Where we become unstuck as a collective and as individuals is when there's an unhealthy selfishness, where we prioritise ourselves at the expense of others' well-being. And when we consistently do that, that becomes a problem for our growth and for those around us. Now, selfish selflessness is about empowering ourselves, coming from an authentic place of power, a congruent, sincere, truthful place of power, not an autocratic, coercive, controlling place of power or rigid place of power, but from an authentic place of power. And the individual who's selfishly selfless says, I choose to evolve and expand my own path in life. And I choose to focus on that whilst simultaneously focusing on being of service to others and their path. Because when we go back to biology and that feedback loop, we realise that when we are of service to others in our way, and we are of service to others and we are able to uplift others and give others tools to develop themselves, they will further support our growth. Everything, we are relational, socialised beings. This is a given. If we weren't, okay, there's a philosophical conundrum for you. How can I stand here without this floor? I can't. Otherwise I wouldn't be standing on a floor. How can I float without having an atmosphere to float in? I can't talk to you without you. You can't hear me without me. We're socialised, relational beings. Everything is relative in the world. So when you are of service to someone, and you are of service to yourself, in tangent and parallel, you're being the best version of self. Now that's my belief. Feel free to disagree, it's no problem. I welcome that. I've got a degree in philosophy. I like to argue. That's what philosophy is about, it's just arguing. But in a very constructive way, in a way to better ourselves. That's the idea. These are just philosophical dispositions, but they're not just that. Because if you actually take them on, if they resonate with you and you take them on, guess what happens? They become you. You become them. You move through the world differently. People say, you're a little bit different today. What's going on? You're thinking differently, you're acting differently, you're moving differently. I've noticed you the last few months, you're being different. You're more patient. that affects other people. That also affects what you invest your time and your energy in. And how productive you can actually be with what aligns with you most, what's of most value to you. So posture of selfish selflessness. Any questions on that? Cool. It's pretty straightforward. It's actually really simple. That's the idea. It's really simple. The execution can be a little bit more challenging if we're not accustomed to it. And if we don't come from that belief system. If we come from a belief state of it's either this or that. It's either one or the other. That can be challenging for us. But we can break through that, and there are tools, and we'll go through that next week. There are tools to break through limiting belief systems. And we'll do what we can in the few hours that we have together, but it's always a start. Remember, just always grow, always grow. There's always so much to learn. I'll give you another example of that selfishness. I'm here. We often teach what we need to learn the most in life. I'm here because I'm learning. You're doing me a favour. Because you granting me, having an audience is granting me the opportunity to teach something that I'm very inspired by. Therefore, I can relearn that, or learn it from a different perspective. Because I've never been in this situation. Yes, I've spoken in front of many people before, hundreds of people and so forth. But I've never been in front of you, here, in this space, right here, right now, in this time. There's always something to learn. Yeah? Breath. Now, this is really important as a tool. And we're going to do some practice with breath today. Breath is exactly what that says. The essence of life. The essence of breath is the essence of life. On so many different levels. On all the work I do with the elite individuals that I work with, we focus on breath. Whether it's for physical training or whether it's for mental acuity, irrespective, we focus on breath. We make breath a primary tool for growth and transformation. Now I'm only going to share one very simple breath technique with you today. But it's a breath technique that can alleviate stress. So from a physiological perspective, it can alleviate neural stress, relax the digestive system, improve heart rate and heart variability, increase the proficiency of blood flow, and from a psycho-emotional perspective, it can grant you clarity and insight into self. It can help you understand yourself better. It can appease you and ease your mind. And it's just a really very simple breath technique. I have many that I use, some more complex than others. But simplicity is key, because simplicity is the path to mastery. Master the basics. We breathe approximately 23,000 or so times a day. Bad breathing or inefficient breathing is the equivalent of eating junk food 23,000 times a day. We don't realise how powerful breath is. You see in yoga, any of you do yoga here? Have you do yoga? Yeah? Or have done yoga in the past? Yeah, wonderful. Big advocate of yoga. Do yoga a lot. It's all over my social media profile. I do that on purpose because it's very important. Yoga is simply a way it uses the physicality to neutralise the body, to ensure that there's no pain in the body, so that we can connect to our breath, so that we can connect to the essence of our authentic humanity. Yoga is not for limbering up. That's part of it. That's a byproduct. See, if I sit here for long enough, I'll get sore. Because I'm still on that journey. I'm still learning. I'll get sore on my back and my hips are tight and I'm fairly flexible. But I get sore. The practice of yoga allows us to remain in this state for a longer period of time and not be sore, so that we can connect to our breath. And it's in our breath that we discover tremendous insight of self. So I mentioned some of the benefits of the breathing that we're about to do now. I'm going to ask you in a moment to close your eyes, and you're already relaxed, so that's fantastic. And we're going to simplify it as much as possible. And I'll give you some cues to focus on. But we're only going to do this for a few minutes. But this is something that you can do as a preventative course of practice and action, but also as a curative. So if you're feeling highly stressed or highly strung, or you have tension that you feel in your physicality, in your cognition, you can just stop, go to the bathroom if you're with people, or sit in the toilet, the lid down, and just breathe. There's always ways you can do this, okay? But I advise a daily practice of meditative breathing. I would assume most of you, if not all of you, have breathed deliberately to some extent. Because breathing is very unconscious. We don't constantly think breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. It's very unconscious. It's an autonomic function of our body, of our nervous system. But I would also assume that all of you, if not most of you, have meditated, at least some form of meditation, or engaged in some understanding of meditation. So I advise that you engage in this breath work daily, once or twice a day, either when you wake up or when you go to sleep. There's no need to complicate it or add anything to it. That comes later. Just get in the habit of breathing. Habits is something I speak to strongly. And how do we cultivate empowering habits? One of the characteristics of cultivating an empowering habit is starting very small and simple. Low barrier to entry. So make yourselves comfortable. We're going to do something called box breathing. Maybe some of you have heard of it, maybe you haven't, that's okay. If you have, fantastic. If you've practiced it, we're just going to practice it more, because practice makes progress. And box breathing is simple. Don't do anything just yet, just observe, I'll tell you when. We breathe in for 4 seconds. We hold our breath for 4 seconds. We exhale for 4 seconds. We hold our breath for 4 seconds. We repeat. Now, if 4 seconds is too short, by all means, please feel free to go anywhere up to 8 seconds, even 10 seconds. Hold your breath for 10 seconds. Inhale for 10 seconds. Hold your breath for 10 seconds. Exhale for 10 seconds. No problem. But 4 to 8 seconds is recommended. 4 to 6 seconds is recommended as a beginner. If you're a more advanced practitioner with breath work, please feel free to go further than that. But know that the simplicity of this can be quite empowering on so many different levels. Can you imagine going into a meeting, going into a business meeting, going into a meeting with the UK government, with the Mongolian government, and putting a proposal through, and you're nervous because there's a lot that is riding on this. Can you imagine, or doing a big real estate deal, or building a huge structure sustainably? Can you imagine with unique, innovative material science behind what you're doing, and you're putting a proposal through to an architecture firm, whatever it may be, and you're nervous about that because there's a lot on this, because you know the impact this can have on you, on your family, on others. You start feeling your heart rate starts racing, and before you go in this meeting, you push yourself in a quiet spot and you breathe and you relax your central nervous system. You relax your breath, and you gain perspective, because breath grants us perspective in life. But I don't want to go too much into that, because I just want you to focus on the beauty of the breath, just on the physicality. Just concentrate on the physicality to start with. So let's start with 5 seconds, in between 4 and 6. So we're going to inhale for 5 seconds. We're going to hold our breath for 5 seconds. We're going to exhale for 5 seconds. We're going to hold our breath for 5 seconds. I'm not too concerned about where the breath comes from, whether it's through your nose, whether it's an ujjayi breath based in yoga, whether it's through your mouth that you breathe. That doesn't matter too much right now. There are more advanced techniques later, and we can learn them. You can learn them later. But for now, just breathe however you're comfortable breathing. I will say this, however, attempt to breathe deeply through the diaphragm. We expand. But again, don't be too caught up on that. Just breathe to start with. Just focus on the tempo and the rhythm. The rhythm being it's not staggered, it's smooth. That's very important. Tempo and rhythm are very important, okay? Don't worry about the depth or the largeness of the breath just yet. That's actually not as important. So everybody close their eyes and relax your body. Begin to just connect to your body, relax. Begin to relax your feet. Slowly close your eyes, begin to relax your ankles, your knees. Feel your body sinking into the structure to where you're sitting. Begin to feel your hips, the small of your back, your arms, your shoulders, your spine, your neck, your head, just against whatever it is that you're sitting on. And totally relax your body. And just begin now a 5-second inhale. So before we do that, actually, everybody inhale, just a deep breath in, and just exhale through your mouth. And now, inhale 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold your breath for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold your breath for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold your breath for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold your breath for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue at your own pace now. 4 to 6 second breaths. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. I'll tell you when to release. I want you to continue this, please, for another few minutes, please. Just totally relax at your own pace. 4 to 6 seconds for each cycle. Feel the benefits of this practice. Connect to relaxing your body, connect to how your body is feeling. Connect to your thoughts, your emotional state, physiology of what you're experiencing right now. Connect importantly to the essence of your breath, who you are and how you're moving through life right now. In this moment, nothing else matters. Long, slow, deep breaths. Begin to slowly open your eyes, come back to the room, feel your body, keep connecting to your breath, just relax. Now that was only a few minutes. How did everybody feel? Something new for you, is it? Yeah. Do you feel relaxed? Yeah. Now that's a very simple exercise, but if you remember what we focus on and what we're consistent with becomes us. If you continue to sell real estate, you'll be proficient at that. If you continue to breathe properly, you'll be proficient at that. That opens up a whole new world for you. Because our physicality is the foundation of our existence. We can't have this conversation if we are not physically able to get here. If I'm, for example, tremendously obese, and I'm unhealthy, and I'm bedridden, or I have cancer, how can I get out? I can still be here. Great difficulty. I limit my options. I limit my exposure. Our physicality, the integrity of our physical health, lays the foundation for the integrity of our socio-cultural lives, for our spirituality as well. If you have sustenance and longevity in your physical health, you will have sustenance and longevity in your service to humanity and your service to yourself. I'm a big fan of tech, big fan of, like Roger Hamilton, in my own way, I'm a futurist. So I believe in technology on various fronts. And I know where biotechnology is heading. I know where it is now. And I promise you that 80 or 90 being the norm for our age of survival is not going to be the norm much longer. The next 5 to 10 years, that's changing. 120, 130, expect to live that long. And healthily as well. And that's a tangent that I won't go on. But you can understand the implications of that. So we want to ensure that we're healthy, not only physically, but also psycho-emotionally. Self-talk and language. This is important because how we speak to ourselves sets the tone for who we are and how we move through the world. It really does. Because I promise you, I guarantee you, that how sometimes we speak to ourselves, we would never speak like that to a loved one or a stranger, but we speak like that to ourselves. Because remember, familiarity breeds comfort. We're familiar with ourselves, so we're comfortable. But learning to listen to the fixed and rigid mindset and saying no to that negative self-talk, to that talk about, no, you can't do this, no, you can't be this, no, you can't experience that, no, you're not good enough, no, you don't have enough skills, no, you can't access abundance. You were born into scarcity, that's where you'll stay. When you say no to that language, that inner voice, that inner self-critic, when you say no, the inner self-critic comes from a place of love. It does. But it doesn't express it that way. It expresses it with a harsh tonality. And it does so because it wants to keep us safe. So if there's a tonality that's harsh, we're more likely to listen. Because it's confronting, it's in our face, in our inner face, in our mind's eye. But learning to listen to that inner critic and asking, where does that inner critic come from? Why is this inner critic rearing its ugly head right now? Why is it putting a challenge or an obstacle in my way? And what can I do with that challenge or with that obstacle? How can I make it a benefit? How can I turn it into something constructive, productive to who I am and to my goals, my vision, my mission, my inspired state? Recognizing we have a choice. That's part of having a growth mindset. We are not limited to one choice. It doesn't have to be this way or that way. It can be both. You know that saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too? Some of you would be familiar with that. Some of you may not be. It's an English saying. You can have your cake and you can eat it. It just depends what type of cake it is. Can you understand that? We have a choice. We have multiple choices every day. I have a choice to walk. I have a choice to stand. I have a choice to sit. I have a choice to say, no, I didn't want to come here and be here. You had a choice to not be here. You had a choice to come. You made it happen. Maybe it was in your budget, maybe monetary budget, maybe the timing was off, but you're here. You made a choice. When we want something enough, we'll make it happen. Connect deeply to what inspires you and you'll constantly live in inspiration. Connect deeply to what inspires you, and you'll consistently live in inspiration. Therefore, you improve your chances of coming from a place of abundance and clarity and growth, as opposed to rigidity and constriction and restriction. We have choices. You have a choice to say no, you have a choice to say yes. Who's familiar with Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning? It's a beautiful book. I'll briefly tell you the story. It's very simple. He's a psychiatrist, a doctor psychiatrist from, where was he from? Sorry, was he from Austria? I think you're right. Sorry, he was Polish. Yes, apologies. Anyway, prisoner of war in World War II. Yeah, German prison camp. And he was exposed to, you can imagine, most of us would have heard the stories of what the Nazis did in those concentration camps. And he was exposed to many horrific, violent, aberrant, inhumane experiences. But the perspective he chose was to come from a place of love and inspiration. He chose that internally. And no one could break what's in here. Nothing can break what's in here. This is yours. You have ownership of this. No one can get into your head. You choose how you feel, how you respond to a certain situation. That situation can be terrible by all means, by all relative constructs. It can be disheartening, it can be difficult, it can be painful. But how you respond to that is your choice. And it's a combination of here and here. Our mind, our mindset, our perspective, and our emotionality, our hearts, how we feel kinesthetically, physiologically, but within. We have choices. And we have the choice to speak back to our rigid mindset, to our fixed mindset, to that you can't or I can't attitude with, yes, I can. Actually, I can, and I will, and I'll demonstrate. Because remember, when we take action and we experience the outcome of that action, we are redefining neural pathways in our body, in our mind, in our brain circuitry. So when we traditionally experience, no, you can't, yeah, you're probably right, I better not, we're simply reaffirming a neural circuitry pattern, but we're also reaffirming a belief system or a behavioural disposition or an ideology. When that negative self-talk comes in, or that rigidity and mindset comes in and says, no, you can't do that because of X, Y, and Z, and that inner voice of yours says, actually, I think I can, and I think I will, and I actually will, new synaptic connections are created. A new behaviour emerges. That changes the way we move through the world. Can you understand that? Can you understand the importance of that, yet the simplicity of that? And habit creation comes from a yearning and desire to move from an undesirable state of being to a desirable state of being. Now, I wish I had more time with you. I would speak to habits extensively, but it's something that we can't today. But habits are very important, and they are intrinsically linked to beliefs, and we are going to cover beliefs next week, so that's good. But there's a lot more to beliefs as well in the terms of habits, in alignment with habits. Now, exciting. We're going to identify our purpose today. That's what we're going to do. And I'm sure you probably identified your purpose in some way. This is just another way to do it. It's a 7-step method. I have another method, and I'm going to share this method with you today. But I'm not going to share it here. I'm going to speak to it, but we're not going to do it today. We're going to do another method. Now, one of the methods that I have, I'll talk to you about it later. Let's start with this first. The why behind the why. Why is it important to know your why? Because your why drives you. Your why is what inspires you. And inspiration doesn't require motivation. It doesn't require drudgery. Inspiration allows you to leap out of bed every morning knowing what your purpose is, knowing that what you do is meaningful and fulfilling for you. It's fulfilling for you. It's fulfilling for your vision and service to the great expansive cosmos, because we are all an intricate part of each other. That's why the why is so important. Because without your why, you've got no how, and you've got no what, and you've got nothing. Your why is the foundation. Now, defining our purpose is very important. Because when we have clarity in our purpose, we align our actions with that clarity, with that purpose, and we discover and create meaning in our everyday lives. And that's exciting. Meaning is exciting because we're connected, because we have clarity. Yeah? We also, by understanding our purpose, we are able to apply that understanding to our purpose in our vocation. And hopefully, our vocation is not only what inspires us deeply, but it is what, in this cultural world, financially remunerates us to provide us with the tools to expand and do more and be of greater service to each other, but to delve deeper into self as well. Because purpose in vocation is basically our vision for self, our dreams, our mission. And it often can take some time to identify that. It can. But just know that if you set out on this journey, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time, and a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. And you stay on course, you'll get there. I promise you'll get there. But you have to be persistent. You need to be patient. And you need to practice walking your path. There's no scenario in life that the 3P model doesn't work, where it doesn't apply. There's no scenario in life. Please tell me if there is. I've racked my brain with this. Practice, persistence, patience. Discovering our purpose. Love the cat, little kitten. The power of 7. The power of 7 is a 7-question experience, 7-question practice. Power of 7. So, blank sheet of paper, everybody. What is your name? My name is Write it out. Hands straight up once you've done that, so I know that you've done it. And keep it up, please. We're all going to move through this together, and we're going to spend some time discussing it. Good. Hands straight up, keep it up once you've done, when you've written what your name is. Good, we're moving on. Second part to this. So just write it as a whole sentence, yeah? Write it as a whole sentence, as a whole paragraph almost. What do you love to do most? What profoundly inspires you and sends shivers up your spine? What do you enjoy to do? What do you feel supremely qualified to teach other people or would love to teach other people? My name is Stef, and I love to inspire others. I love to allow others, to help others, to assist others in connecting to their purpose, to recognizing their brilliance, to immersing themselves in their creativity, to connect to what inspires them most. I also am a steward of Earth. I believe in Earth. I believe in maintaining the natural structure and ecology of our Earth. That's what inspires me. Okay? But that's me. That's you. Once you're done, hands straight up. It doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be overtly detailed. Keep it simple is fine. Hands straight up once you've done. Once you've finished, sorry. Please keep your hand up once you're done. Might get sore a bit, so you might have to switch hands. It's funny, I exercise quite a lot, but like in yoga, just holding poses just like this, So challenging, just so challenging just to hold the arms straight out and for a minute or two. It's ridiculous, so humbling. That's the beauty of yoga, it's so humbling. Humility. You can put your arm down, I know you're done. Just put your arm out once you've done, just for a few seconds so I know. And I'll keep it. It's not like we have 1,000 people here in the audience that I need to keep track of. It's all good. Done, Mana? Yeah? No? Still thinking? Don't overthink, feel. But think, but feel. But think and feel. Yeah? Done? You need help? You done? Everybody done?
No, it's too early.
That's okay, we can refine it later. It's okay, but you've put something down there, haven't you? Yeah, great, we can refine that. Whenever I was taught, right or wrong, but I agree with it, I like to, at university I was taught, just write. Just like when we're doing a thesis or an essay or whatever it is, just write. And even in my own, like I've written a book and just in the process of writing another book, and I just write. But later we can refine our thoughts. All my programs are, I just write or type, and we can refine later. But get it all out. Be creative. Don't block yourself. Just be creative. Brainstorm. Let it out. That's where the best ideas come from. Just being free flowing with your thoughts and feelings. Yeah. We can move on to the next question. Who do you do it for? Who are the people you do what you do for? That might be a bit of an easier question to answer. And it could be multiples. It's not just necessarily one person or one group of people. And just throw your hand up once you're done. Just so I know. You almost want like a running paragraph, a running sentence, like a little short story that you're going through for your purpose here. Now, again, don't be shocked at the simplicity of this. Thank you. Done. Mel, you done? Yeah? Yeah? Cool. Don't be shocked at the simplicity of this exercise, by the way. The other one actually is even more simple than this, but very integrated, but very simple. Fourth question, 4 steps out of 7. What do those people want or need from what you do for them? What do those people want or need from what you do for them? In my case, the people that I do what I do for require guidance, clarity, answers, to be challenged, to be pushed, to understand life a little bit differently, to be able to prescribe alternative views of the world, differing models of reality than their current paradigms. That's what those people want or need from me. Those people want an alternative way of being. Not that my way is the best, not at all. Remember what I said to you earlier. You'll resonate with some people, you won't with others. That's cool. I always say, and irrespective of whether you believe in Christianity or Jesus Christ or not even Jesus Christ could make everybody happy. When you read the New Testament, you read all the wonderful philosophy and wisdom that comes with agapistic ethics, which is love-based ethics. Yet he was crucified. You can't make everybody happy, and that's okay. Not everybody loves Allah. Not everybody loves Buddha. Not everybody loves Donald Trump. Many people do. You can't make everybody happy, and that's okay. He has many sincere followers and people that adore him, and that's okay too. So it's not about Jump out. Make sure you jump out of your ego here, and be authentic. People need your service. People need what you do for them. Trust me. Everybody has their own unique gift, and your objective in this world is to give that gift to others. That unique gift that is used. Everybody done? Yeah, done. Yeah, cool. Fifth step: how do they change or transform as a result of what you give them? Here's an insight into this. This is very important. I want you to focus on this. How do they change or transform as a result of what you give them? So, what you give them, how do they transform from that? How do they feel? How do they transmute their being? What do you give them? And as a result of what you give them, what are their newly discovered experiences? Their inner transformations, their revelations, their afflatuses. What revelations do they experience? Stuck? Done? Where's it going? Where's it going? Can I have a look? No, not yet. Can I have a look? That's okay. Can I have a look? Yeah. Thank you. We'll talk to that later. We'll talk to that later. It's okay. Is everybody else done? Yeah. Question here, please. Perfect. That's fine. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, just allow whatever comes out, allow it to come out based on the question of how you feel, of what inspires you. Without limitations, people. Don't place limits on your thoughts here. No? Okay. I'm not asking... Okay, so am I conducting this workshop? Yeah? Would we all agree I'm conducting the workshop? No limits. Limitless. If therefore I'm conducting the workshop, by logic you're taking instruction from me, be limitless. Be limitless in what you're writing here. There is no right and wrong. There are no, yeah, but when am I going to get the money to do that? Well, I don't live there, I live here. But I don't have access to resources. I don't care. Pretend you do. Pretend you do. Live as if you do. I'll share a story with you. It wasn't that long ago I was cleaning toilets. I had successful businesses, I sold them. Tried some new businesses, they failed. Had to clean toilets for income. Now, I'm very open with that because it's part of who I am. I take ownership of that, it's fine. There's nothing intrinsically right or wrong with it, it just is. But here's the thing. I was cleaning toilets, but I was still living my truth. I didn't put any barriers on myself. And I said to myself, right, these are the resources I have right now. What can I do with what I have? Well, I've got access to the internet. I've got access to the World Wide Web. I've got access to myself. I've got access to a smartphone. I'm going to keep shooting my videos because I believe I'm being of service to others when I do that. Because part of my mission in life is to be of service to others, is to assist others in connecting to their authenticity, connecting to who they are. So if I were to stop that because I thought that I'm not where I should be as a person, or I don't have access to the resource that I need, I would never connect with people. I probably wouldn't even be here today because everything is sequential in life. It has a follow-on effect, it has a domino effect. Everything is connected and linked up. So write freely. Just connect. It will come, yeah? Number 6, what is one of the largest global challenges you wish to resolve and work on? This is thinking well beyond you now. This is beyond your family. Well, not necessarily, because what your family experiences may be a global issue that collective society experiences deeply. So what is one of the largest global challenges you wish to work on and resolve? And remember, it doesn't necessarily mean, bless you, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be in multiple countries, but you may choose to alleviate poverty in Mongolia. Now, poverty is a global issue though. So, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, perfect. Education is a global issue. In fact, where I come from, being a developed nation, our education system is appalling. That's another story for another time. But again, that's just my belief system, that's my understanding. I shouldn't say appalling, that's probably a strong word. It could be appalling considering where we are as a nation. It could be far more advanced. Yeah? Can I change question for the last question? Are we still writing? Yeah? Number 7. Why do you do what you do? And answer this in a multi-layered way. So why do you do what you do? So when we go back to number 2, why do you do this? Why do you do what you do? You don't have to answer in a multi-layered manner. You may just answer it in one word, because of love. You may answer it because it's your calling. You may answer this in a way that, because I believe it's what's most important to you. Just answer it however you wish to answer it. Don't overthink, feel, connect, be limitless in your thought. Now, here's an example of what you just did. My name is John, number 1. I love to teach people how to operate and implement renewable energy technologies and systems in their homes and communities. That's number 2. I do this for remote communities and people that do not have access to abundant resources. Number 3. These communities require uninterrupted access to energy. That's number 4. Their lives are impacted dramatically as they become healthier, they cook readily, they feel safe every day, as they know they have greater access to food and water to heat their homes, sanitize themselves greater, and educate themselves outside of daylight hours. This also empowers them, and they feel a higher sense of self-worth as a person, and importantly as parents, supporting their children and community members. Wow. That was number 5. Number 6 is because I'm so inspired from this work, I wish to contribute to alleviating the global energy crisis experienced by many developing nations. Number 6. I do this work because I believe in social equity, distributed justice, access to resources for all, and that every human being has a basic right and access to resources equally. Wow. Wow. Now, if someone says to you, and this is a common question that we all encounter, I'm going to go a little bit over, is that okay? Is everybody okay if I go a little bit over? Cool. Someone says to you, what do you do? Answer like number 5. I assist others feeling high levels of self-worth, adequacy, empowerment and social connection to each other by becoming healthier, bringing communities together, providing the technologies to help them cook, eat, heat their homes, sanitize themselves greater, provide greater economic opportunities, read in the evening and assist their children in gaining education. And that person's going to go, what the fuck did you just say? What do you do exactly? That's phenomenal. Tell me more. Well, this is what I do. I run programs in conjunction with the United Nations. I do this, I do that. Do you get what I'm saying? What you do is this. This is what you do, people. This is your purpose. Because in doing this, in transforming others, you are transforming yourself. In transforming others and giving to others, you are giving to yourself. This is what you do. This is your purpose. This is so empowering for you to understand this. This is not the be-all and end-all. This is just one tool to use to discover your purpose. There are others. There are many others. But how empowering is... Imagine having this conversation with someone, but in your own way. Just forget about it. That's John. A little bit of me in there as well. That's John, right? Whoever John is. But imagine you. Imagine you, your tone, your voice for that. When we make life bigger than ourselves, when we extend it to our family, our friends, our communities, our states, our nations, our global society, we become empowered and inspired. That is a desirable state to live in. That is a full life. You want to say something? Please.
Just wanted to say that I think I've got mine.
You have? Mm-hmm. I want to hear it.
I empower the modern family to connect and thrive.
Now, if you told me that, I'm going to say, that's super interesting. Tell me more. Tell me how. Because that means nothing to me. I want to know more. And then you move into that. Now, it's irrelevant what people think of you. It's irrelevant what people, whether they think what you do is of value or how you serve is of value. That's not relevant. But let me tell you what is relevant. Networking. Do you know why networking is important? Because you do not know who you're going to meet next and how they can impact you, but importantly, how you can impact them. And you talk to someone, you tell them that with such conviction and clarity and strength and power. And they say, you know what? And you tell them your whole story. And they say, you know what? Wow. You've just articulated what I've been trying to do for years. I want to be part of that. How can I be part of that? Sure, this is how you can, yeah. I'm getting shivers thinking about it. Because remember what I told you about tribes before? You may live 10,000 kilometers away from me. But if you're doing well being defined by you're living authentically, you're living your truth, and you're impacting others along the way by 6 degrees of separation, I'll feel that impact. I want you to do well. I want to cooperate and collaborate with you. I don't want to be in competition. I'm not interested in that. I want you to do well. Can you see why it's so important for every single one of you to do well? Any of you know each other before this? No. Any of you know each other physically before? Oh, okay. But otherwise, you haven't all met. You want everybody in this room to do well because we are so connected by this intricate global web. And when you pull at one end of that web, it makes an impact here. When you throw a pebble in the ocean, that ripple is felt throughout the entire universe. That's empowering. I want everybody to read me number 5. Can you read me number 5, what you've done, please?
It doesn't make any sense to what I do.
That's okay.
It's how do they change, more connected with sharing knowledge, changing practices, changing the diet,
So that they have clarity, they have understanding of self, that they're empowered to reach and live their goals. And then I would say to you, tell me more. That's interesting. Because that is interesting. That is genuinely interesting. That as a result of what you do, others are able to feel empowered, are able to have clarity on their goals. That's brilliant. Remarkable, isn't it?
That's not from what I do in life, it's from how I interact with people.
But it's part of your purpose though, isn't it? Yeah.
I think so. Well, that's just what's around it now, because I think my real purpose is
Global. Yeah. In what way?
protection of species.
Protection of species.
Yeah, that's what
Good.
really drives.
Good. So with that, if that's what really drives you, then I want you to give some thought outside of this workshop. Give some thought to how, remember, when I said limitless, don't limit, when it says how do they can be not only human, it can be flora and fauna, it can be ecological systems, it can be Earth. How does Earth change or transform as a result of what you give Earth or what you do for Earth? Can you see that? Can you observe that? I want you to think expansively here, people. Don't limit your thinking here. in 10 to 20 years' time, we will tongue-tie, colonise Mars. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that was a joke. Be limitless in your thinking. Yeah, it's very exciting. Life is very exciting when you have clarity. Read me number 5. Pass the microphone, please. Thank you. Whatever you've written.
I think I was a little limited, but anyway, it says...
it's okay. You'll refine it.
So they are inspired and empowered to spread resilience in their own communities and step up beyond the level of survival.
Wow. Beautiful. And now that as we continue to grow through this, remember there's no right or wrong. That's not fixed, people. That can change. You can put a line through all of that and go through it again. It's no problem. Easy. Please.
I empower entrepreneurs in Mongolia to build businesses to solve challenges caused by poverty.
That's what you do. How do they transform?
So that they could
They bring themselves out of poverty?
build businesses. They build businesses to solve the...
You empower... So as a result, they are able
As
to
a
build
result,
businesses.
they build businesses to
And what-
solve challenges caused by poverty.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Remember, it doesn't have to be complex, guys. Manu?
Yeah, they feel happy, they feel empowered and relaxed and full of life.
Full of life.
Yeah.
Because of what you do.
Yeah.
Good. Now, I don't know about you, but feeling empowered, happy, full of life, it's a fairly desirable state to be in. If you can just impact one person's life with what you do and who you are by following your bliss. Joseph Campbell, famous is a relative term, but American philosopher and poet and cross-cultural mythologist, said, follow your bliss. And your bliss is your purpose. Your bliss is your vision. Your bliss is your dream or dreams for self. Your grandest vision for self. That is your bliss. Now, that's meant to be a very excited Pomeranian. Because next session is exciting. I think it is anyway. Because we're going to go deep into beliefs. We're going to go deep into the sovereign leadership model. And that's exciting. That's the sovereign leadership model. It has 14 tenets. We're going to speak how each tenet relates to being a powerful, empowered governor of self and what that can do for you. How being a powerful, empowered governor of self can serve you, can serve others in a selfish, selfless manner. Okay, we'll break these tenets down as best we can in the time that we have. We're going to look at our models of reality and we're going to overhaul them. Models of reality are belief systems, effectively. Yeah? That's what we're going to do next session. We're going to look at our limiting beliefs. We're going to look at our belief systems, where they've come from, how we can move through them, how they benefit us, what role they play in our lives, and how they serve others as well, and how they hinder us. If we have time, we'll speak to another model I've created, the empowered conscious communication model. This teaches us how to communicate with others. Remember, we are relational, socialized beings. Yes, we are. Therefore, we require effective communication. This model has 12 tenets for effectively learning how to communicate with ourselves primarily. It always comes back to us, and then with others. You definitely want to do that. If we have time, we will. I don't know. I want to. Let's put it that way. That's why I've got it there. I'm going to excite you because I'm excited. Good. I want to leave you with this. 2 questions I have for you. 2 questions that are related to what we did today, to our purpose. And please observe the imagery here. Please observe the imagery. Who are you? In other words, write down, who am I? And I want you to think about this and feel into this. Who am I? And don't ask me about what parameters should I answer this question, but be open with it. Who am I and who do I wish to be? It's a beautiful, beautiful depiction of sacred geometry constructing a solid structure, a human sphere. Who am I and who do I wish to be? And if there is a disconnect there between who you are right now, and for most of us there is in certain areas of life, and that's okay, then allow that to be known to you. Who am I and who do I wish to be? There are 9 areas of life, I mentioned this earlier. The physical, the emotional, the spiritual, the psychological. Vocation, family, financial, relationships, social. Now, relationships, you would think, well, doesn't that cover family and social? Yes and no. Family is exclusive to family. Children, not your intimate partner. Actually, I'll tell you what. Relationships covers relationship to self primarily. Relationship to earth, secondary. And thirdly, relationship to an intimate partner. Family covers family, children, extended family, mother, father, brother, sister, etc. Social is peer groups, colleagues, etc. 9 areas of life. If we get an opportunity, I'll speak to the 9 areas of life next week as well. I want to thank you immensely for your time. I'm deeply grateful that you have chosen to be here and listen to me, and that we have been able to embark on a journey together for this period of time. I'm very, very thankful for that. And if you have any questions now, very happy to speak through that. But you can also email me any questions you may have. But I will be here next week on the 4th. I think it's next week. Yes, next week. On the 4th, and we can, of course, talk then in further detail. Allow much of what we've spoken to today to just sit with you. Just let it sit. Let it float. Often find in critical reflection of self at the end of every day, if you take the time to practice reflecting upon your day, upon who you've been, how you behaved, how you've acted, how you've moved through the world, and on the things that you've been exposed to, the experiences that you've been exposed to, what you've learned and so forth, new revelation and wisdom comes in. So I ask you just to reflect on what you've been exposed to today. Maybe there's something you haven't agreed with, and I want you to challenge that within yourself and within me and within your peers as well. Discuss that openly. That's what it's about. It's how we learn and grow. There's no right and wrong here, what we've learned today. There's resonance or there's not resonance. Simple as that. And there are a number of factors that influence that. Where you are in your life right now, your mindset, your ability to understand self, your ability to govern self, your security within self, your sense of self-worth. There are so many factors that contribute to that. So there's either resonance or there's not. And if there's resonance, fantastic. And if there's not resonance, that's fantastic too, because now you know what doesn't resonate. Process by elimination. Thank you so much, people. Very much appreciated.
Thank you. Oh, that one's not working?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Stef. That was great.
Appreciate it.
I answered the questions too at the back.
Oh, we didn't ask you. Number 5.
Yes,
Do you
shall I
remember?
get mine?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Absolutely. Forgot to ask. Sorry, Mel, because you're at the back there.
It's okay. All right. I do need to refine it, but it goes something like this.
Always refining.
To create awareness, to get people into action, for them to gain clarity with ease and confidence through connection.
Beautiful.
Something like that.
And you'll refine that. That's what we do.
I like that. That's cool. I think that really builds on our why as well, which was really cool. Yeah. That was beautiful, and really fits into all the other learning that we've had over the past 2 weeks, and we're looking forward to having you back to do sovereign leadership.
Yes.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Good, my friend. That makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Very content.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think we should all have a photo
Yeah,
together.
group photo?
Yes, of course. Oh.
Okay, can we all give Stef another round of applause and
thank
just
you.
thank him for his time today, because super job. Thank you. But yeah, I'll grab my phone, we'll take a photo.
Please,
Thank you,
yeah.
Stef.